Hello and welcome to First Impressions. This is a show where my co-host Ash Hooper and I evaluate a new album each week with a few simple ground rules. First, it must be an album we've never heard before. And this week, we're actually following that rule. The last couple weeks, I brought on bands with albums that I really knew already and loved. So this week, back to our true rules, and that is evaluating album we've never heard, and we're going to rate it in a variety of categories. So the album we're looking at tonight was actually suggested by our guest today, and that's the 1978 album Darkness on the Edge of Town by Bruce Springsteen. So, Grant, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, yes, this was your suggestion. You sent me a list of some albums that you had suggested we cover, and for this one was one that I hadn't heard. Some of the ones on your list I had, so this was brand new to me, and yeah, kind of fun to dig into it. So you will be our kind of expert of the night because you know the album more than a couple listens worth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some songs on there that you've heard before, right?
Oh yeah. As soon as I was playing it, there were ones that were played on the radio when I was growing up, and still now, kind of those classic rock staples, the butt rock stations that we've talked about. We cover the things because they cover nothing but rock. So yeah, he's been, some of these songs I recognized from that, just kind of growing up. And I'd have to ask my dad. I'm sure he owned this one. I know he had a lot of different ones. I know Born to Run. That one was one that I know, that album. That was one that he played more when I was a kid. So that one I know. The others, kind of learning as we go. And that's the fun of the show. We're covering something we haven't heard before, so we experience it for the first time. So we always start things off with our history of the artist. And last week, life was easier for me. The history of the artist was given to us by the artists themselves, and they know better than my shallow research that I do on Wikipedia and throughout the internet. So, little brief history of Bruce Springsteen. And of course, this is super brief because Bruce Springsteen has had a huge, long, storied career. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, kind of. I mean, because he's in it, and so is the E Street Band separately. Almost like he's in there twice, even though the band got their own thing. Without Bruce, the E Street Band's really just, they're just a backing band, but they're in there in multiple capacities. So Bruce Springsteen was born on September 23rd, 1949 in Long Branch, New Jersey, and he's an iconic singer-songwriter known for his poetic lyrics, working class themes, which are huge throughout this album. Energetic performances. I love the fact I know people who they'll go see him multiple times on his show, kind of almost like the Fish people, the ones that were following around bands, because he'll give you different set list every night, give you 3+ hour shows. So, still out there touring, and the people that love him, they will see him over and over again. So his nickname is The Boss. He began his music career in the 1960s, and he gained national attention with his first album, Greetings from Ashbury Park, New Jersey. And it's one I know the cover. I'm sure I know some of the songs. I just have to kind of ask my dad, like, hey, did you have this one? Did we play it? So the album that brought him into fame was 1975's Born to Run. And that's one I know pretty well. I know my dad played that a lot when I was growing up. And it was a critically acclaimed album. It got him huge notoriety and popularity, sold a lot of copies. And the album, he released multiple albums after that, but the one that kind of really catapulted him into superstardom was his 1984 album, Born in the USA. And that one, I mean, I think I was 9 when it was released, so it was all over the radio, all over MTV. That one, I know it well. My dad definitely owned that one. I see the cover and I can just kind of hear almost every song on it in my head. And it was one of the best-selling albums of all time, produced huge top 10 singles, videos that were constantly in airplay. And this was the one that kind of solidified him as not just, a rock star, but now a rock god in that top tier, Mount Rushmore for a lot of people of rock stars. And he's associated with the E Street Band, double Hall of Fame inductees. So His music explores themes of American identity, social justice, personal struggle. He's won 20 Grammy Awards, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. He needs to write something for television so he can complete that EGOT, because that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Because he got the Tony because he had a long-running show on Broadway where it was just kind of this one-man show where he'd get up there, tell the stories of the songs, and play the songs. And there's a biopic about his life that's going to be coming out in October. I think I just watched the trailer for that on YouTube. So yeah,
Who's playing him?
I forget.
I got the guy from The Bear. Have you seen The Bear?
Oh yeah. It's Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, so there you go. Going to be by Jeremy Allen White, and so Adam Sandler did a great Springsteen impression. I honestly, I don't know if I've seen it. It must have been SNL, I'm guessing, because that would be the kind of thing that would be, Adam Sandler doing some good stuff. So cool. So thank you, John. I'll have to look on YouTube and find his impression, and I could see him doing that. He's kind of can pull that gritty voice in there. So I'm going to hit a little bit now about the history of the album. So Darkness on the Edge of Town. Let's talk about the album itself. And if you have anything, Grant, that you want to add, always feel free. I just kind of do my little research, and sometimes bigger research. There's certain bands that we've covered that I've read books about and stuff like that. So I have a lot more. This one was my basic, all right, let's do a search about the history of Bruce Springsteen and get, the basic internet and narrow it all down. So this album was his fourth studio album, released on June 2nd, 1978, and it marked kind of a turning point in his career artistically, thematically, and personally. It came 3 years after Born to Run, and it had darker, more mature tone and themes, and it was probably shaped by the legal battles that he had to deal with because he wasn't able to release this album for those 3 years. I'm sure he had these songs ready to go, but after Born to Run, he got stuck into a legal battle with his former manager, Mike Appel, which prevented him from releasing any new music. So he was blocked from releasing to music. He was touring, he was writing, but he couldn't enter a studio because of the litigation. And by 1977, it was finally resolved. He reunited with the E Street Band and recorded this album with the new producer, John Landau. And he was the co-producer of Born to Run. And it kind of switched the musical themes because Born to Run had more of this huge wall of sound with the E Street Band, and this was a quieter, more reflective tone and had more of these adult themes where he kind of writes it as a sequence of narratives about different characters and, kind of their struggles and every man rising above different situations. So it was a change from Born to Run, and that's one I know that's a kind of a bigger, louder album, and this one kind of scaled things back down, and I think it was a departure because maybe he didn't want to be that rock star from Born to Run, but also he was probably in a pretty pissed off mood dealing with all these litigations because here he had all this music to release, and he was blocked from doing it for 3 years, so it had to kind of shape the way the album moved. All right, so reviews of this album. Let's talk about those. It's always hard when you're dealing with a 1978 album, especially one that's now revered and regarded in such high esteem, to find the original reviews. You have to do a lot of digging because, of course, anyone who did say anything negative quickly wants to bury that and not let it exist in the world. But when it was released, Rolling Stone gave it a glowing review. They didn't do stars yet. The stars didn't come in until later. It's one of the things I discovered as we were looking up Rolling Stone reviews, like how many stars did it get? And I discovered, I think it was like 1980, around mid 80s was when they started doing the starred reviews that they do now from 1 to 5 stars. And they seem to give every album we cover 4 stars. It's like the basic thing. So they wrote a huge review. Dave Marsh called the album a rock and roll triumph. He praised the emotional honesty, the working class realism, And he said it's, the first one to really grab hold of the mood of the times, because this was released in late 70s. I guess we're talking Jimmy Carter years and not a great economy. So it's kind of grabbing on to that, which is hard because when it came out, I was 4. So I can't really say it resonates with me for the time, because as a 4-year-old, like, hey, I have no idea what's going on in the world, just playing with my toys and living my best life. So Village Voice and Robert Christgau, he gave it an A-. He said the stories were as real as any novelist. He admired the depth and integrity, but he said that the somber tone and lack of big commercial hooks could turn off certain listeners. And yeah, kind of spoilers, that was one of the things that I had more difficulty dealing with, especially because I think I've played it now twice. It wasn't one where I had a lot of time to listen, because I got back from the cruise ship, thought I would play it Monday, but it was like, after 8 days on a cruise, I was just a slog. I was like sitting and doing nothing for the whole day until the podcast in the evening. So I think more listens might have opened up more to me. Cream magazines appreciated the gritty authenticity and pointed out, though, also that it lacked that kind of pop appeal that Born to Run had. And the general praise that it received when it was released, they praised it for its honest blue-collar themes, the lyrical maturity, the emotional depth, the lean and powerful instrumentation, and his commitment to the substance over flash. And the criticism that came out at that time was that it was missing a radio-friendly single. It had, less grand and romantic themes and instrumentation, and its slower pace was more alienating. So that was when those who didn't give it, 5 stars and instant love, that was what they praised. And it did well commercially. It reached number 5 on the Billboard 200. It's triple platinum, so it's one of those ones that kind of just consistently sold. It didn't have that big splash. It's just sold over time. It has been reviewed by now Pitchfork and All Music. So Pitchfork gave it a 9.3, them in their lovely decimal system. And yeah, they can't just say like it's an A. Like, no, 9.3. Like what knocked off that 0.7? Or what made it like it's an A, but kind of an A-? I don't know. Pitchfork. We've talked about them. We don't need to go back to the Pitchfork and their stupid decimal system, but there you go. They gave it a 9.3, and they called it an album of great adult survival and dignity. All Music has called it one of his greatest albums and one of the greatest albums of the 70s, late 70s American rock. And Rolling Stone put it into the 500 greatest of all time, calling it a masterclass of lyrical realism. And in this case, unlike Stevie Wonder, they didn't have to revise the fact that they didn't give it a great review the first time around. They did praise it immediately, and kind of anything Springsteen does now for Rolling Stone is an automatic 5 star. So yeah,
Right.
I don't see that it won any kind of awards when it was released, but it's considered one of his best, and his fans consider it top tier Bruce Springsteen. So all right, there are our reviews. So now we've talked about what other people have thought about it. Now let's talk about what we thought ourselves. So now's our time to dig into it. But first, what is our history with Bruce Springsteen? So Grant, I'll let you go first. What's your history with Bruce Springsteen overall?
So he was the first rock star that I really liked. All of his albums were on the Columbia House CD Club, which I'm sure that influenced my buying a lot. Like there were a lot of bands where it was like, okay, I kind of like this band, but it's in the Columbia House thing, so I guess I'll buy it.
Yeah.
So he was one of the first rock stars where I had like all of his albums, not just the greatest hits, but I had all of the albums. And it's funny, like you mentioned, the big theme of his music is the working man getting up every day and going to work. and you hear that in a lot of his songs. So I don't know why, as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, that related to me so much. Just that I think as a kid, I was very afraid of growing up and getting like a boring 9 to 5 job. And I don't know. For me, that's what rock and roll is kind of about. The idea that you don't have to sit at a desk the rest of your life. You don't have to have this boring 9 to 5 life. You don't have to grow up and just become a boring guy. You can go out and still have fun. You can. There's more to life than just living, working, and dying.
Yeah.
And something that you didn't mention that so I've actually read Bruce Springsteen's memoir. Something crazy about Bruce Springsteen is in his memoir he said the crazy thing is I have never had what you would call a traditional job. He said that he started playing shows like when he was like 18 years old, like just out of high school, and he would sleep on his friends' couches until he was making enough money that he could actually get a place of his own. And pretty much almost immediately, he was able to get a record contract and never even had like working at McDonald's or after school or working at a newsstand or a movie theater or anything like that.
Yeah. So he's writing all about it, but he's never actually experienced it.
Right. And he said that it was something that he remembered as a kid, his dad always instilling the idea you have to work hard. And the idea that like, work isn't supposed to be fun. His dad was a very blue collar guy. In his memoir, he almost kind of said that his preoccupation with the working man and blue collar jobs is almost kind of like survivor guilt, where it's almost like he sings so much about it because it's almost like he has like a sense of guilt over the fact that he got out of doing that and so many of his friends and family haven't.
Yeah. So a lot of them got trapped into that and he was able to avoid it. But yeah, that's interesting. And that's why, like I said, the research I do is very shallow. So I'm glad that you read the book so you can, a lot more about kind of the history. And I know a lot of them when I was researching the songs themselves, he's thinking about his father. And like you said, thinking about others who have to work this kind of grueling, mind numbing existence in these factories or, just terrible 9-to-5 jobs. So he's kind of channeling those people. But yeah, I think he witnessed what the job did to his dad. You could definitely tell that just through the lyrics and, like I said, through the basic research that I've done. So, all right. What is your history with them, Dash?
Born in the 70s, listening. So, all through the 80s. He's never been one that I would turn to as far as music goes. Like I said, I think Dancing in the Dark is about the only song that I really like by him. I'm Born to Run's all right, but I just can't forgive him for introducing the world to Courtney Cox. I just can't forgive him for that. So it's not. I want to preface this tonight's show with that my opinions are my opinions and don't belong to anybody else. But I just always thought of him as now we would say the Temu or the Wish. I always thought of him as the Temu or Wish.com Bob Dylan.
Okay.
I just never connected, because I heard more Dylan from my brother growing up than I heard Springsteen, and then like you said, so in the 80s, obviously, Born in the USA is was big, and that's what you saw. And then the Boss. Again, I'll equate him to. I have about as much love for Bruce Springsteen as I do for Taylor Swift. So if anybody knows how I feel about Taylor Swift, you know how I feel about Bruce Springsteen.
You're gonna get yourself attacked again, man.
I am not that he's a bad person. I just his music's not for me. Like I think Taylor Swift's probably a fantastic human being, but her music's not for me. And the same goes with Bruce Springsteen. But that's my history. Is just obviously growing up in the 70s and 80s, and and now you hear him all the time on butt rock stations and the oldies. So yeah, he's still around, and I know lots of people that love him, and that's good. His music was never for me. It was me in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. How you feel about the Eagles is how I feel about Springsteen. Ouch. So
that's a harsh thing.
That is a harsh thing.
We have pre-established my feeling on the Eagles.
But see, I
need to go back there.
That's probably why I was listening to the Eagles more and not him. So you know what I'm saying. But that's my history with that.
Yeah, and that's fine. Although I will say this, He-Man is responsible for Courtney Cox. That's where Dancing in the Dark doesn't count. It's the Masters of the Universe movie. That's what brought her into the world. Well, I saw that when I was a kid. That's the first way I knew her. He did Masters of the Universe movie.
He pulled her on stage and she made it big.
I know
I'll
the
never
video.
forgive him.
But when people were saying like, "Oh, Courtney Cox," I'm like, "Oh, I knew her from He-Man." Just like I know Jennifer Aniston from the Leprechaun. I'm like, I know them from I know them from their shitty B movies, not so much from the video. But yeah, that He-Man movie. I loved He-Man. I mean, I know Master of the Universe technically. But I hated that movie so much. So that was
you hated it?
Oh, when I was a kid, I couldn't stand it. Ugh.
I love it now even more.
Yeah. See, and the thing is, I didn't get the nostalgia for it. I don't know why. Because I know my friends were like, "What's your problem? How can you not love that?" But I think the Skeletor makeup and that furry dude I got lost on that one.
There was some bad stuff with it. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, yeah, and you can put on your nostalgia glasses now, and it's fine. And there's plenty of movies that I love that are just dog shit. But I love them for what they are to my nostalgia views, but not as you watch it and try to actually critically evaluate it. You'll see it's bad.
It's a guilty pleasure movie.
And I love how you were like, because Grant, you were talking about Columbia House, and oh my gosh, I got so much of my music catalogs through Columbia House, 12 for a Penny, and I would just keep re-enrolling in Columbia House and BMG, and I built this vast catalog, and oh my gosh, so many bad one-hit wonder albums. But yeah, you could build a catalog of an artist you really like. Like I got the entire collection of the Police through Columbia House, so it was kind of that's how I got into that.
That's where I got my 8 tracks. He's talking about CDs. I'm getting my 8 tracks and but I probably still owe Columbia House money somewhere. No, they're probably going to come search me down someday.
We better watch it because I was enrolling with my dog's name and like, oh, how many ways can you be like, oh, my dog was Hope and Hope Davis had a good Columbia House record and never bought anything. Oh my gosh. My dad's like, if you get in trouble, it's on you. You're going to have to pay the money. And somehow, I mean, we better watch it because I don't know what the statute of limitation is. Dash, we might go down for this.
We might go down.
Columbia House, I apologize. I mean,
we love you,
if
Columbia
I put
House.
you out of business, it wasn't just me. It was me and my dog and my little brother and a couple of my toys had Columbia House things. So I think Skeletor Davis had himself a Columbia House account. So yes. Just people that say CDs were too expensive didn't know how to grift Columbia House. That's all I can say. And I'm going to hear a ring on my doorbell like, oh shit, they finally found me. It's going down. So, all right. But way off topic, but there you go. Let's dig into the actual album now. We always start with our overall thoughts and then we kind of dig into best songs, worst songs, best lyrics. So I'm going to give it to you, Grant, because I know your thoughts are going to be a little bit better than ours. So, Grant, what are your overall thoughts on this album?
I really love it. I love the fact that not all of the songs have happy endings. Um, I mean, I can totally relate to the theme of growing up in a small town and just thinking, God, this town sucks, and I wish I was anywhere but this small town.
Mm-hmm.
That sense of longing. I think you mentioned that this album, like a lot of people, seem like they were kind of disappointed by this after Born to Run, and I feel like Born to Run is a little bit more optimistic than this album, and maybe that's why this one is always related to me more than Born to Run. But I mean, everything isn't completely bleak, but it does kind of, say the message of the album is that there is kind of, well, like the theme song implies, there's a darkness on the edge of town. In other words, the small towns aren't the Leave It to Beaver type atmosphere that we're taught to believe growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can definitely feel that as well. I'll just kind of plug it, but I just read this book, High Desert, and it's about where I grew up in the high desert of California, and it's about a black punk who was growing up there. So he was dealing with a lot more stuff that I wasn't, but it just kind of talks about the hopelessness of that growing up in that town, because it's, it was loaded up with skinheads, and I saw them, biker gangs, and just that bleak, I'm trapped here feeling that you get in those kind of small towns. It's like, I'm not singing the John Cougar Mellencamp like I love a small town, like, oh no, get me the fuck out of here is my thought. And that's kind of where Bruce is coming from in these songs, so I can definitely understand that. So it's one of those things. I read that book and just, oh man, it was flashing me back to growing up there, and just, oh man, every other person, because I grew up in the high desert. Now it's kind of booming, and if you live there, good on you. It's a lot better now than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, like, we had to drive 20 miles to get to a grocery store, and it was just endless fields of dirt and, feral children thrown outside every day, and just that hopelessness. I kind of understand what you're talking about with that when you're growing up in that particular kind of a place, you just feel like the bars are surrounding you and you're trapped in this cage. And that, I can definitely understand where you're coming from on that one. Because just reading that whole book was just like a flashback to my youth, just in a different experience of it. But just, that I definitely feel that one. So with my overall thoughts, I came at it with, I thought that it was, it's a good set of narratives, lyrically strong, bleak pictures that he's painting, but I felt that the pacing of the album could have been stronger. I think it could have, the E Street Band didn't get a chance to really shine as much on this one as Born to Run, but that's coming at it where literally I've played it twice. And some of these times I have to play the album a few more times before it really resonates. But I can think that if I was listening to this album, let's say I just had a negative experience, and you toss this one on while you're driving around on a desolate highway at midnight, and it's going to hit you in a completely different way. So I think coming at it, on a summer day, fresh off of a nice, refreshing vacation, it hits you different than if, you just experienced a loss and you're just driving through this town or just through this nothingness. This is the perfect album for, bleak midnights. I mean, I would say that's when this album could really hit home with me in a lot better way, where coming off of just, great times and fun vacation, it doesn't hit as hard when you're sitting, in the peaceful sunshine. This is an album for, the dark highways at midnight and beyond. And that's when I think this album would just resonate a lot differently than it did now. All right,
Yeah.
so Dash, we know your thoughts. So it's like, all right, let's hear it.
No, I mean,
Let's see if there's a Springsteen fan that's going to come after you like the Swifties did. You've opened yourself up to attack. Yeah. It's normally me, so have at it. I'm glad to be off the hook today.
I think this album for me suffers that I listened to it in 2025 and not 70s and 80s. That's the problem, because like you said, there's no bangers. There's no bangers on this album that really get you, like, you know, Born to Run. And even though it's not one of my favorite songs, Born in the USA, it's you know, it's a banger. It's going to get you hyped up. It's going to get you pumped up. And I think definitely don't take this on a walk. Don't have this playing while you're on a walk, because you just it's just you lose your pace. And
it's after midnight. Oh, it failed the running test. It failed that hard.
Yeah.
But if you're taking a long walk at 2 a.m, then it can play a lot better.
That doesn't mean that it's got horrible songs on it. What I want to point this out. It doesn't have horrible songs. It's just, I think for me, it suffers from the time frame that I listened to. You know, this was one I definitely did not hear, and until, you know, Grant suggested it. So probably might have had it might have had a more meaningful thing for me, like it did for you, Grant, if I'd heard it earlier in life instead of now, because I don't want bleakness. I equate it to, like, when I'm watching TV or I'm reading a book, I'm escaping the real world for a reason. I don't want to go listen to the real world on an album. And I think that was its biggest downfall for me. But again, I don't want to take away from it that it doesn't have good songs, and it doesn't have good lyrics. It's just, it suffers that time frame for me. And overall, it was just, it's probably, now if I'm writing a story that's bleak and despairing, this would be an album I probably would put on to help create the mood and help create that atmosphere of a dark and bleak setting. So that's a good thing in its favor. But
one thing that I would say is Born to Run is my second favorite Bruce Springsteen album. Now, why I put this a little bit higher ahead, you said that there's no bangers. I would say, for me, Born to Run is 3 songs: Thunder Road, Born to Run, and Jungle Land. Yeah. Those 3 songs are amazing. 3 of the greatest songs ever written. But the songs in between those 3 songs aren't as interesting as the entire the album with Darkness on the Edge of Town. For me, Darkness, I know one of the things that you wanted to talk about was whether there are any songs you would fast forward through. I wouldn't fast forward through any of these songs. I think they're all great songs.
So you got to skip on this one. Yeah, and that's the thing, if an album grabs you the right way, because the album cuts, we've talked about it throughout the show. There's certain ones where it's like it's front loaded with greatness and then it just kind of falls apart. And I think this one maintains its tone, if nothing else. Like, where you start and where you end are the same place. So if you're grabbed from the beginning, it's going to keep you through the whole thing. Unlike when we did the Joe Walsh album, and that's when I was saying all the things to get me in trouble, it starts so big with a big radio hit, and then it changes its tone completely. This one, it holds its tone, and I think if you are feeling that tone and you're enjoying it, this album's going to work for you. So I can see where you're coming from on that one, Grant. So let's dig in. I'm sure Dash will have less to say about this one than the two of us, but that's all right. Like I said,
don't beat me up too bad. There's some good songs.
Let them come after you. I'm just happy it's not me today. So I'm gonna bask in letting Dash be the villain of the episode.
This is my Joe Walsh album. This is my Joe Walsh album.
Yeah. This is where DM wants to come in and try to antagonize me to make me angry. So, but then we were doing albums we loved, so it was too hard. And he was like, "I'm not here for you to be happy and like music. I want you when you're angry and hate it." But no such luck today, DM, if you're out there watching. So, best songs. We'll start with Grant. So, what is one of your favorite songs on this one?
I would have to go with Promised Land. Just from the starting part where it's the all harmonica. The lyrics are beautiful. The theme of working all day and longing for something else. I mean, that's pretty much why I make comic books now. Um, I mean, I think kind of the message of this album and Bruce Springsteen's career in general is, man, life sucks when you don't like your job.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've been working since I was 15, and honestly, genuinely, there have been very, very few. Other than getting the paycheck, there have been very few times where I really felt rewarded for any of the work that I've done. So, other than my comic book work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's really what I relate to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I liked that one. The first one I started with for songs was just the opener, Badlands, because that when you start with a song that kind of grabs you, and I can see how this one would have done that even in the 70s. It's now become kind of a staple of the nothing but rock stations, but I think it still holds up. And it's one, I think the band kind of gets stifled more on this one. And this is one where the band gets their chance to shine and kind of show what they're able to do. So I thought it was a strong opener. It kind of still sets the tone of the album, where we know it's, trying to rise above. And like you said, Grant, not every song's going to get you the happy ending that you want, especially one of the ones that I grabbed for later when we talk about lyrics. It's like, yeah, there's some definitely not all the songs end up in, but they overcame it and now they're happy. It's like, not so much. It's kind of, reality is definitely always present on this album. And in reality, it's not always, okay, you overcame it and found something else. Like you said, we have comic books, we have writing. It's something we can do that is pure passion. Like, none of us are millionaires. None of us are retiring from the writing that we do, but it keeps that happiness in your soul. Like, I'm out here creating, I'm feeling the love of this creation and holding it in my hand. It's, you get that feeling that you can't get otherwise in some of the jobs that you might work. Because I mean, I worked in a factory for a couple of years. I can say it's some dismal shit. And when my daughter was talking about, like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and go work at this factory, it pays really well, I'm like, ooh, I'm not gonna tell you no. I'm just gonna say, let me talk about my factory days and see if you still want to go to that. And let me talk about the people I watched retiring from the factory and how they were withered and broken by the time they were done. So they weren't going to have a long, lovely retirement. They were just, their bodies were done. And I'm just trying to tell her, like, it may seem great, the promise of this better pay, but evaluate it from all the sides. Cause I've definitely been there. So so Dash, what's one that you liked on this one?
I'm right there with you. Promised Land. It's probably the best song on the album to me. And it's, just like Grant said, we all want the Promised Land. I think we all hope and pray for the Promised Land at some point in our life. And, it's a song that does resonate with anybody can relate to it. But I just like the feel of the song. And it was one that I could definitely just get behind when I was listening to it. So yeah, Promised Land was great. The harmonica, just like you said, Grant, the harmonica is one of the most beautiful instruments in the world when it's played and played good, like it was in this. And it really, I think it sets the tone for the entire song. And that's, that's what you want, I knew with this album, I'm not looking for the head bobbing, but if I'm feeling emotion with it, me, if you've been watching the show, emotion comes in very close second to my head bob, and the emotion that I got on this one was a beautiful song. So, like I said, just because I don't like Bruce Springsteen and like everybody else does, it's not that there's bad songs on this album. It's just there was some. I needed some upbeat at some point, and I didn't feel any upbeat. But I loved The Promised Land. I loved it.
All right. So, any other songs that you want to showcase? Any other that you would call a favorite one, Grant? So, anyone for you on this one?
I mean, there's a part of Pittsburgh that I start humming "Darkness on the Edge of Town" every time I drive through it, because it's just a very dark. I mean, it's a poor part of town, but also there's just every type of vice you could ever possibly want. I am curious if Dash like "Prove It All Night" just because it.
Prove It All Night was that was an upbeat one. That was about the only one that if I recall. Prove It All Night was a good song. I definitely enjoyed that one. It shows his. It definitely shows his vocal again, but the guitar. I love the guitar in that. The guitar was popping as well. But yeah, I like "Prove It All Night."
I wish I could separate how much I like a song from it being overplayed, because I mean I don't know if I like "Promised Land" better than "Badlands" because it's a better song, or if it's just because "Badlands" is so
it's got played so much. Yeah.
I mean, that would be the only thing. I mean, I think probably they're roughly equal in terms of songwriting, but I put "Promised Land" over just because I view that as a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys that I saw Bruce Springsteen live for the first time this past year?
No.
Well, so my day job is also that I'm a stagehand. So I actually got to go and set up the concert, and then I went home and changed my clothes and did all that stuff. And my wife and I, we went out for a nice dinner, and then we went to see Bruce Springsteen. And the reason why I bring this up is the first two songs were songs from his newest. The first two songs he played were songs from his newest album, and I remember just sitting there thinking oh God, because a few years ago I saw Neil Young, and he doesn't play a lot of his older songs.
No.
He plays the newer songs. And I've heard about other bands. I mean, when you go to see a concert, you want to hear the classics, right?
Yeah.
Especially with a band that has 30 plus years experience. You want to hear the classics. But I remember the third song he played was "Promised Land." And as soon as that harmonica came in, I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna play some of the classics.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen those concerts where the bands will literally just play all the new songs, and that is it. And they'll kind of antagonize the crowd, like, oh, well, what's wrong? You don't want to hear this? You're not a real fan. It's just like, oh, don't do that, man. I paid good money. I'm giving you my time. Don't be a pretentious dick. And I know Neil Young is one of those ones where if he's touring for a bad album, don't waste your time because it's not going to be a good show.
So when I saw Neil Young, I think it would have been 2000. I think in 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, he did his entire previous album song by song. In other words, the first song he played was the first song on the album. The fifth song he played was the fifth song on the album. He went backstage, he came out, and we're all thinking okay, if he does an awesome encore, everything will be forgiven. He came out, he played "Hey Hey My My," and then he played two deep cuts.
Yeah.
I'm not a Neil Young aficionado, but I mean obviously I know "Hey Hey My My." The two songs that he played were not top 40 hit. The other two songs that he played in the encore were not top 40 hits.
Yeah.
So literally I paid all that money to go to this concert, drove to the venue, and heard one song that I had heard before.
Yeah, that's rough. Those are the worst ones. It's like you may as well go see some band you've never heard of. You'll have a better experience and it'll cost you a lot less money. But yeah, that's always discouraging. And there's bands I've seen that will do that. Smashing Pumpkins are one. If they're on a particular tour, he's going to play a bunch of stuff and half of it will never even get released. And then he'll throw in like 2 or 3 radio songs, but he's Billy Corgan. We've brought him up on the show. He's one of those good artists, but annoying human beings. And he'll just antagonize the crowd if they're not feeling it. And I've actually met him backstage and he's just,
he's more worried about his wrestling than his music, it seems, lately.
Yeah, but we'll save him for another day. When they release another album, we'll have to cover it because we got to at least give it that. So, any other songs that grabbed you on this one, Dash?
Yeah, again Badlands, and that's I love that. It's like it's probably overplayed here in Oklahoma a little bit on the oldies rock station, but it's still
it gets a lot of airplay, that's for sure.
It's still a good song because just it's as they say, it's Bruce Springsteen. It's I like Badlands but yeah, I'm with you, Grant. I think Promised Land, while probably everybody would say Badlands is probably the best song on this album, I got to go with Promised Land being the best one because again, it's just something about the harmonica brings that song out to me more than anything else. But yeah, that's Badlands was great, and like you said, I did enjoy Prove It All Night. So
yeah, that's another one I recognize from the classic rock. I liked Candy's Room. You know me, I'm always hunting for the horniest song on the album.
You got to have the horny song.
That was the winner. Because it's like I'm trying to read the interpretations of it, and it's either
I don't know. Prove It All Night is a pretty horny song.
It is that one too, but Candy's Room, it's like it's either he's hooking up with a woman,
a bar girl,
or he's dreaming of hooking up with her, and she's the only one he wants, even though she's got all the other ones. So I also like that's kind of the highest energy that the album gives, in my opinion. That's where the band really gets to showcase what they're good at, and that one, I was having fun. That's the only one that passed the running test on this album. And there's plenty of albums I love that don't pass the running test. So that's not really an indicator of a good or bad album. It's just, could I play it while I'm going on a long run? And this one, definitely not. Unless I'm doing one of my relay races and I got to go do a run at 4 a.m. and I want to mess with my own head. That's what I was doing when I was playing Lovecraft on the late night runs. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm swimming in weirdness right now. It's like I'm listening to cosmic horror while running at 1 a.m. You want to fuck with your head? Play Lovecraft at 1 a.m. on a long run. That will definitely mess you up. So this album, I guess I could do it then. That'd be about the only time. That's when I like to play weird stuff like The Cure and Joy Division. Like, let me see how weirded out I can make myself. And you play a forest while you're running through an actual forest in the dark.
Yeah, that might
mess you up, but in a good way.
That might mess you up.
But
I feel like this is a better driving album than.
I think it is a driving album. I think you're definitely right on that one.
It's not
long
just
drive,
because,
not long run.
It's not just because. Well, he mentions driving a lot. He mentions like obviously racing in the street. Then he says, driving all night, chasing some mirage in Promised Land. But I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's something about. I mean, I've definitely played this album a lot while driving around at night. I sometimes
got that right vibe.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dig into the best lyrics, and this, love him, hate him, or in the middle, you can't deny the lyrics that this man writes. So this should be an easier category. What are some of your favorite lyrics on this one? So Grant, you can go ahead. Tell us, what are some of your favorite lyrics?
Well, I kind of just mentioned, working all day in my dad's garage, driving all night, chasing some mirage. That's one of my favorite lyrics. I mean, sometimes when you're down and you have a dead end job, it can feel like, you know, the promised land is some kind of mirage, and that's something that I could totally relate to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I like
I
in
like that one.
Prove It All Night when he says uh, they've what's the line uh, they've made their choices and they'll never know what it's like to steal, to lie, to live and die. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to me that there's in Bruce Springsteen's head, there's a definite delineage between people who take a chance and people who just kind of go through life and don't really ever risk anything. Just get up and go to their 9 to 5 job. And I think that's where his music speaks to me, because I didn't want to be one of those types of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I like going into that same thing with Factory. This one, it captures that soul sucking nature of those jobs. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a factory, but just the jobs you're forced to work just to survive. And when he said, "End of the day, factory whistle cries, men walk through these gates with death in their eyes, and you just better believe, boy, somebody's going to get hurt tonight. It's the working, just the working life." So when I saw that, it reminded me the couple of years I worked in that factory, they made me know, because a lot of my friends were like, you know what, I'm going to quit college. I can make a good career out of this. And I just looked at the people that went home, and they would just go home, drink themselves to sleep just to wake up the next day and do it all over again. And just like, that cannot be my future. That can't be the existence that I live. So it was one of those things where some people looked at it as a satisfying way to go, but that just captured it. Because when I heard that, it just kind of brought back all those memories of just watching the people. You're just hunched over, you've just been breaking your back all day, and now you look at, like, wake up, do it again the next day. And we did the 10-hour shifts, and they were just, oh my gosh, they would just break you. So yeah, that one, those lyrics got me. So Dash, any lyrics grab you in this one?
No, though it's not probably my favorite song on the album. Something in the Night, and it reminds me of just being in the military. You're born with nothing, and you're better off that way. As soon as you've got something, they send someone and try to take it away. That just reminded me of the military and my time in the military. It really struck me, those lyrics. You know, you finally get where you're going, and then there's somebody that just higher up that doesn't care for you, or something like that. They'll come in and try to blast it away from you. So I like that. Something in the Night. Those lyrics were pretty good. Like that.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorite songs, but the lyrics were really stood out to me. And then I'll do one more, and then Racing the Street was not one of my favorite songs either. But some guys, they just give up living and start dying little by little, piece by piece. That just, that, man, you see that in dead end jobs.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't take dying. Maybe I don't take it, give up, like maybe I'm not looking into it as a being, maybe I looked at it more metaphorically, I guess, than I did as literal. But, you just get in that job and you're just like, man, I just can't do this job anymore. There's got to be, it takes it back to Promised Land and Badlands, all those songs. It takes it back to them. But it just, I've been there. I've been, even after I retired from the military, I've been in jobs where I was just like, and because you're almost, when you spend 23 years in the military, you have a one way, I'm by the book. I got to be there. I'm 15 minutes early, or I'm 10 minutes, if I'm 15 minutes early, I'm 10 minutes late is how I always looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is bad on me, but I expected everybody I was working with to have the same mindset. But, here I am working with 17, sometimes 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that don't have the same mindset that I did. And
yeah.
I don't, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it does cause you to dial. It does cause you to die a little inside when you're trying. Maybe it's the regimented thing in me. And again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody or say they're wrong for how their work ethic is, but you just kind of get accustomed to it, and that's how that's what I related it to and how I felt.
Yeah. All right. So, any other lyrics that stood out to you, Grant? Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, I mean, those are the main ones. I mean, I'm sure if I sat down and picked apart the lyrics, but those are the ones that jump out to me.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. And see if I had any other ones. I know I'm going to say this because I complain all the time when they don't give me a lyric sheet in the album, and this one did. So it's nice when you're listening to the song, you can actually read the lyric sheet and not have to read them on your phone or something else. So I liked in Badlands where he said, poor man want to be rich, rich man want to be king, and a king ain't satisfied till he rules everything. So
I forgot about that one. That's a great
some
one.
strong lyrics. Yeah. Let me see if I had anything else. Yeah, I think those are the ones that I wrote down for this one. And then also, I think this is also from Badlands where I believe in the love that you gave me. I believe in the faith that could save me. I believe in the hope, and I pray that someday it may rise above these Badlands. And I liked that. I mean, I think Badlands was like not only just musically one of the best songs, but lyrically another strong one. But I mean, I would say even the songs that I would say are skippers on this one are still lyrically strong. It's just they didn't resonate in other ways. So I mean, like some of the other artists we've talked about, we can't say a word against the lyrics that are in there. I mean, people do study lyrics of Bruce Springsteen in universities and things like that. I mean, there are classes to look at his lyrics, and rightfully so. So yeah, you can say what you want about him, but you can't disparage the lyrics that he writes. So let's move into this one. I know Grant, you got none for this one, but any ones you would skip on this one, Dash?
Yeah, I'd probably something in the night. I'd probably skip after I hear my the lyrics that I like, and not a big fan of Racing in the Street. And what was there was another one that I would skip. Streets of Fire, just not my favorite, so I would just skip it. There was one I can't remember. It's been a day or so. There's one where I think it ends with just like instrumental. If I think that might be Streets of Fire. It's either Streets of Fire or one of them, but it just ends with him, just the instrumental. I'm like, that was probably the best part of the song because there was times where you really couldn't hear him sing. Sometimes there were some times where I had to be like, what did he say? And again, and sometimes I'm like, now I know where Eddie Vedder learned how to sing. And, but yeah, those are probably the ones I would skip the most. They didn't grab me like the other ones that we talked about have grabbed me.
Yeah, Racing in the Streets was mine. That was the only one I had skip. I had a couple that it was kind of, I was sitting more on the fence, but this one, it's lots of car references. The album has a lot of car references, and I am not a car guy. Like my car is transportation. I'm not like, let me go in the garage and work on it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can work on a car because I was poor as shit when I was younger, and my dad taught me how to work on a car. So I changed transmissions. I've, put in new engines. I've done all that work, but not through pleasure. It's like writing comics. That's a pleasure for me. Working on a car, that's saving me money, and I'll still do it now. But when you're talking about street racing, I thought that it was too low key for a song about, the joy in the street racing. I thought it should have had more energy, more life. This is one where the band should have been allowed to just cook and get out there. And I thought, I'm listening to it in my head, and I'm like, who should have written this song is Meatloaf, Let's bring in that manic ferocity
Yeah.
that Meatloaf
Yeah.
brings into a song. That's what I want to hear in the street racing.
Yeah,
This is street racing for sloths, not for
You don't-
like, I want Meatloaf street racing. I want to be like, hell yeah, let's go out. I'm going to go take my Nissan and pump that shit up and go race some dude on the street. Instead,
you don't
I was
picture a race, a car song about being a ballad. Well, again, and I want to caveat, ladies and gentlemen out there paying attention before you come in and give us a 15-page dissertation on why I'm wrong about Bruce Springsteen. Lyrically, he's a genius, and I will say that lyrically, I'm not taking any away from the lyrics. And it's like Ed said, I'm looking for things that grab me, and that's emotional wise, as far as the music goes. Sometimes, and I think if Racing in the Street had been an upbeat song, in a way where it would have been, to me, that's what I think about racing. If I'm watching the street, I'm watching Outlaws or Street Outlaws on TV. I'm not picturing a ballad going along with the Street Outlaws while they're doing the racing. I want something upbeat, and so that's probably, I think at Racing in the Street been upbeat, it probably might have been my number one song, because I really did enjoy the lyrics on that song. But I just don't. I don't want anybody to mix up that I dislike his lyrics, because I do think he can write a damn good song. It's just I want to be captured in certain ways with music or a good guitar solo or the harmonize. We just had the band on. We had what was it? The guy a couple weeks ago.
Jolie Led.
Jolie Led. Their harmonizing was beautiful, and that's one of the things that stood out for that album, is because both of them together just sounded perfect. So that's what I'm looking for. It's not just is it rocking me out or the lyrics great. I want other things. It's just like my movies. I don't care who the movie star is. Sometimes I want to see cinematography. I want to see how the plot comes out. I want to see the theme. That's what I'm looking for in a song. How did the theme, just like, we're all writers. We want our plot and theme and setting all to be perfect and come out right. And that's what I'm looking for in songs. So I just want to caveat that for people.
Well, if someone wants to write a 2-paragraph deconstruction of you, that's all right. It's you this time.
Yeah.
The Kate Bush deconstruction was all aimed at me. And
yes, it was.
And I will never forget them. And it's like, you live in my heart forever. You call me a 10-year-old boy, and you're probably not wrong.
They probably still cuss you out when they wake up in the morning.
I know this story. What happened?
Oh, we weren't that nice to the first Kate Bush album, and someone in the comments wrote literally 2 paragraphs of why I was wrong and why I have the mental state of a 10-year-old boy. And I tried to be proactive and give all the different sides of everything, but she saw only the fact that I didn't like the album or her voice, and we got annihilated. And I loved it. It was beautiful because it was so well written and eloquent and so passionate. And that's all I said in my comment to her was, thank you so much for your passion. Even if I don't agree with you, thank you. So, I'm not going to turn it into a flame war like she wanted to. And it's like,
she was ready to.
She was ready for me to go like, well, let me tell you why you're wrong. Like, nope, thank you for your passion. That's all I can say. Because if you're passionate about something and you think I'm wrong, that's fine. Because guess what?
That's why
all opinions, and I'm wrong, you're wrong, we're all wrong, because it's what we feel and what we love. And if you love it so much that you want to tear down Dash, not me today. Leave me alone.
I'll take it. I'll take a tear down. I haven't had one in a while.
But then again, like I said, I think when I was listening to the Racing in the Street, it just felt to me like it could have been a high energy song that could have worked in a different way. And I know what he's going for. He's going for that kind of reflective look. And that it's funny because you talk about factories, you talk about Racing in the Street, and that was like our one time where we got fun was when I worked at the 3M factory. It's closed down now. And it was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And they did street racing at night. So on our break, we'd go out and we'd watch the street racing from the safety of a gate. So like, all right, if one of these dudes goes off the road and crashes, we're behind this gate and we're safe. But yeah, we would just sit and watch the street racing after, you know, you work your hours, your back is hurting, and here I am, 18, and my back hurts, my feet hurt, and we're out there watching the street racing, and I understand that passion, even though I could care less about any of that. It was just watching how excited they were, kind of brought a little light to a crappy 10-hour shift in the middle of the night. So I feel that, but I wanted more energy that was with it. And I had one, it was I was like so on the fence with Adam Raised a Cain. I love the bar blues vibes that it had on it. I like the lyrics, but the chorus just missed it for me. So it's just just saying Adam Raised a Cain. I'm like, ooh, it was just what it's missing is a strong chorus to kind of elevate it to top tier song. So that's kind of where I fell on that one. So it was like not a skip it, not a best. It kind of hovered in the middle. That's where we bring in our guy, the Mego. It kind of lives in the Mego zone. And it's like, oh, it could have been the best song, could have been the worst song, but it kind of lives in the middle where it's in that living with the Mego. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I think the only one that I really would say skip was the racing in the streets. And it's just more because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And that's not to say I'm right. It's just where I lived. And after living, doing the factory work, doing that menial, horrible job, and, watching the racing in the street, I just wanted that energy because it's kind of, it juxtaposes the energy of the factory and that just soul sucking work that he's talking about. That street racing is kind of the opposite of it. And the way the song was written, it doesn't feel like the opposite. So I guess that's just me. So again, you can tell me why I'm wrong. We expect 2 paragraphs or more. We don't accept small written anger. You got to give it all to us. So yeah, please don't. But if you do, 2 paragraphs or more, or yours will be ignored. All right. So now we move into our final category, which I know will be easy for you, Grant. We'll see where Dash falls on this one. So Grant, we keeping this, we returning it to the used bin. Easy answer, but go ahead, tell us why.
I am keeping it, obviously. Yes. I have it on record somewhere. Mm-hmm. I have it on vinyl, I mean.
Yeah.
But I couldn't I looked for it for a little bit before the show started. Not a long time, but I did look for it a little bit. But I do have it on vinyl, and yes, I would definitely keep it.
Yeah. All right. So, Dash, what are you doing with it?
Cue the Megoat.
Here he is.
The Megoat.
He's back for you.
Well, and it's not because I dislike him as a person. I don't dislike Bruce Springsteen as a person. This just was not the album for me overall. While I did like some of the stuff, it was just meh at times for me. Like I said, this is probably the first album I've had multiple skips. And so that's why it ends the meh. So I will probably return it to the used bin. Right. But that doesn't mean it's a bad album for everybody else. It's just not the album for me.
All right. Send all your comments to Dash Hooper. Leave me alone because I am going to keep this one. And the Swifty annihilated you. So yeah. So this one I'll keep. Where I'm going to keep it, I'm not playing it again on a summer day. But if I'm on a late night drive and it's 3 a.m. and I've done some late night drives where let's say I'm driving home from Phoenix and I did the Phoenix Comic-Con. And for me, that's about a 7-hour drive.
That's a long drive.
All in the middle of the night. And this album would be a kind of a cool album to be playing as I'm driving through this seemingly endless desert at 3 a.m. because I didn't want to pay another night in a hotel when I already lost my ass on the con. That's the album I'm going to play. So I'm keeping it for the right moment. The moment that it would work, I could pop it on and I'm be like, I'm feeling that because I had to leave. That was a con I had to leave because I got COVID. I tested positive for COVID after the first day. So of course I ended up losing all kinds of money on it. And I was in the right mood and the right place for this album to resonate perfectly. So if I'm playing this album after that moment, I'm be like, hell yeah, Bruce, I feel you. I feel all these emotions. This sucked. You know, even the thing that should have been a pleasure turned into something that was negative. So in the right mindset, in the right place, this album will hit beautifully and will resonate just right. So I'm keeping it for those moments when I'm driving home after, you know, just an experience that I don't want to think about, and you're just driving through endless desert. This album is the album for me. So I'm going to keep it for the right moment. I'm not busting it out in July when the kids are swimming in the pool. It's not for that one. But when I'm driving home from a con that I just caught COVID on and it's been a rough experience or anything like that, that's when this album is going to get played, and I will just be like, I could be singing along with every lyric and feeling it to the very marrow of my bones. So I'm keeping it for those moments. But like I said, not sunny summer day music, but I don't think he wrote it as sunny summer day music. It wasn't ever intended for that. It's not your, you know, kids are playing on the slip and slide in the front lawn kind of music, but it has its place. And for that, I'm going to keep it. So before we jump into talking about Grant's Kickstarter, because he's live right now and he wants some support, let's talk about next week. Next week, we are breaking away a little bit from the request, because pretty much every album in this sequence was a request from somebody. So this one is our last of the requests. Next week is Dash's pick, Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys, which easily enough, I've never actually played the album. So it's one of those ones I remember when it came out, all my friends who loved License to Ill. I mean, I know every lyric of that album and was impressing my children as I was like going through and rapping along with every lyric of that album. Paul's Boutique, I remember all my friends were like, that one sucks, man. The License to Ill so good, but Paul's Boutique sucks. So I never actually played it because I trusted people. Yeah. We've talked about me trusting people. That kept me away from some good stuff. So no longer will I trust people. I'm going to listen to it myself and discover it for myself. But this was one of those ones when it came out in the late 80s. I didn't play it because all my friends were saying, yeah, it's not any good. It's, you know, they went way down. You just stick with License to Ill. So I did. And kind of like with Alabama Shakes, how I didn't play that second album because they said a couple of people told me, oh, it's not good. You know, you love the first album, but this one's such a letdown. And I trusted them.
They were wrong.
So now we can see were my sixth grade friends correct or incorrect about Paul's Boutique from the Beastie Boys? And I'll be like reaching out to those sixth grade friends I still know, like, how could you have turned me off and stirred me away from this one? So here we go. So he said, so strange. I just listened to it. It sucked. Wanted to like it. Like Born to Run. Gave me physical pain. Melodramatic. Boring. Weird. And road trip sleep music. All right. Well, Mark, please direct all your comments to Mark and Dash. Grant and I.
I'm right there with you, Mark.
So there you go. Mark feels that. But like I said, I just think about how when I was driving home, that was a god-awful drive home, and it would have been just the right mood for that. Although I did play Lift Your Skinny Fist by Godspeed You Black Emperor, and it hit the mood just right as well, because I'm driving home. There's a lightning storm going on, and that was just like the soundtrack of my life at that moment, and it was so beautiful. I loved it. So I didn't play this album, but I did play the Lift Your Skinny Fist from Godspeed. And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of hours to drive. I could have played them both. But yeah, that was just the beautiful memory of like just driving, listening to these swelling strings and building tension as lightning's going off around me. It's like top 10 music moments of my life. I loved it. So yes, Mark is with Dash. I'm not quite with Grant, but I kind of sit more in the middle, where in the right time, in the right place, this album would do its job beautifully. But now let's talk about something different. We know what's coming up next week. We're going to dig into the album that all my sixth grade friends told me I shouldn't. Were they right? Were they wrong? We're going to find out next week. I just got it from Amazon. I just got the vinyl in the mail from Amazon, but we're going to talk about Grant. And here's one of his books, Beowulf. I think I have all your books somewhere, but I have long boxes that I need to alphabetize. I have my entire record collection alphabetized, so it's easy for me to find. Like if I was looking for the vinyl, I could find it. Although I have one shelf that's just albums from this show. So Bruce Springsteen will live in that one, and one day Uncle Swifty will claim his Taylor Swift album from it, and I'll be one album short.
I miss Uncle Swifty.
Yeah, what's going on, Uncle Swifty? I'm gonna have to text and be like, "What's going on? We need your thing." That's my uncle who loved the Taylor Swift album, and I told him you can have it. So I'm gonna be handing it to him at the next family function. And I forgot it at the last one, and he let me have it. So yes, moving off our stuff. Only people who are either on the show or watch it every week would understand. Let's move into. Let me share this. Just give me a moment. And next week, by the way, so Dash, I think I'm going to need to give you admin privileges because I have an eye appointment. So I'm going to get the dilated eyes, and I'm going to be. I don't want to be deep squinting at the screen. So Dash, you can get in there and press the banners and everything because I am going to be fully blind for next week's episode. And we already had one where I was fully blind and it was not an enjoyable episode. But well, the episode was fine. Trying to navigate it was not enjoyable as I'm trying to read my notes, and I have them zoomed into like 100 font size so I can actually read them. But let's see. Enough about that. I'll complain about it more next week. But we got League of Cryptids to talk about. So let's dig in to League of Cryptids. Tell us about this book, Grant.
Yeah, so League of Cryptids is basically the Justice League or the Avengers, but instead of superheroes, it's cryptids. Essentially, in this story, a federation of planets sends a group of the members from each individual planet to Earth, and they are, as Earth develops, they become known as Sasquatch, the Loch Ness Monster, Jersey Devil, Chupacabra, and Mothman.
All right.
Very nice.
So
this is issue 3. So just getting the comment. I'm just getting it up so we can see that link, and then go ahead and keep telling us about that one.
In this particular storyline, they have to defend Earth from a invading alien species, and the invading alien species is actually based on another cryptid, a lesser well-known cryptid known as the Loveland Frogmen.
Nice.
That is awesome. Here's some of the art from it, some of the pages. I have the first 2 issues. I enjoyed them. I'm working on, if you go to my YouTube channel, I'm working on bringing back the book break, which is my little 1-minute reviews. I have stopped because I was having pretty much time issues. I was running multiple things at my work, and having the time to write and create the reviews and do all the video editing was something I ran out of. So he says right there, the comic is 100% done. So there's no chance he's going to stiff you. And trust me, like I said, here's one of his books right here in my hands. He gets you your stuff. So if you order from Grant, you don't have to worry about him being one of those flaky Kickstarter people who won't get the book to you. He gets the books to you in a timely manner. He's got this series on issue 3. And how many issues is it going to be overall?
So this is going to be a 4-issue story. That's not to say that there won't be sequels, but it's not a Marvel or a DC book, so it has a definite ending.
Yes. And if you are new to the series, you can catch up on digital, you can catch up on physical, so you can catch up whatever way you need to. Grant keeps his prices nice and decent. I was buying issue 3 and it was $13, and that is a great price when you have to factor in the shipping and the mailers that he's going to send them out in, because he always sends them out in the good mailer, so he's not going to send it in a padded or non-padded envelope, which I just got a Kickstarter book through a non-padded envelope, and it was wrecked. No bag and board, no padded envelope. If you look at this is Beowulf. It's in a bag and board. It's got a sticker. Grant will get you your stuff safely and in a timely manner. So trust in that one and definitely back this one. You won't regret it. If you're new to it, back all three because this is a good series. Grant writes some good stuff. That was not the cryptids I'm holding up. I'm holding up Beowulf, his other series, also a great read. So is Beowulf available as an add-on on this as well?
It is. We don't have the individual issues anymore, but we do have the trade paperback.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. It's kind of let the individual issues go out of print and get the trade. You get them all in one shot. That's the best way. Looks pretty on your bookshelf as well. So you can get Beowulf, you can get the cryptids, catch up on that, and it comes highly recommended. So definitely don't hesitate. I'm hoping by the end of this week to get the book break review up there so it can be on there before the campaign closes out. If not, it'll still be up there because there's going to be an issue 4 and I'll always put the link in there. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm hoping to have that ready for sometime by the end of this week so it closes out by the end of the campaign. The link is in the comments. Definitely click on it. Go over there. Give Grant the rest of the money he needs. He's nearing funding with plenty of time to go, but the way you get there is by showing some support. And if you are unable to support it, if things are tough, even throwing $1 at it is really helpful. So anything you have, throw it Grant's way. He's a great writer and you will not regret it.
Right.
All right.
Very
well,
nice.
Grant, thank you for recommending this album. Thank you for joining us to talk about it. I appreciate that because a lot of the people who've recommended albums, they haven't come on to talk about them. So I appreciate you coming on and
really?
why you love it. And yeah, and some have. Like we had Matt join us when we were talking about Flamingo Overlord. So
Flamingo
yeah, I mean,
Overlord.
some of them do, but one of them was my student teacher from this year, and I don't know if she would feel comfortable coming on, but she had us do our first non-English album, so it was Juanes, a Spanish album. So yeah, that was interesting. And we found, yeah, it was, you know what? I think we both kept it. We didn't return it to the used bin. So
yeah, we both kept it.
And now, oh my gosh, my Spotify is so friggin' wrecked. I like to play the little DJ, and it's like, here's all the stuff you've been listening to lately. And I was like, oh man, Spotify, you're out of your mind. But I mean, I guess technically I was playing a lot of Juanes, but now it thinks I love it. So it's like, because you liked Juanes here. So
yeah, here's some more.
I can't wait for my Year of the Inn Wrapped with what I've had to do for this show. It's going to be completely out of its mind and beautiful. I'm honestly excited for it, even though only half the year.
Mine's going to go, is this Dash? Is Dash really listening? Is somebody take over your account?
Oh, because it also plays what I play for my students. And I play lots of instrumental jazz and post-rock and classical. So it's like, here's something you've been vibing to lately. Here's a Beethoven block. I'm like, that's for my class. Come on now. Leave me alone, Spotify. But yes, it should be fun. And one more time, I'm going to say it. Definitely get in there and back League of Cryptids 1 through 3. Get issue 3. Get issues 1 through 3. Get whatever you need. You can get Beowulf. It's all on there. Highly recommended. So get out there and show your support. And next week, once again, Beastie Boys. Will I be yelling at 6th graders from 1986?
Yes.
Or will I be telling them they were right? Only one way to find out. Tune in next week and let us know what you think. So there's your homework. Go
Thanks
out.
for having me on the show.
Boys Paul's Boutique. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate having you here. And you're welcome anytime. If you see an album you'd like to talk about that we're discussing, always let us know. Feel free to join us. We're taking a pause on requests, but once we get through this batch, we will open them back up. So if you have one, let us know. We'll add it to our long list of requests. We have a few that are already in the pipeline, but for now, we're kind of putting a pause so Dash and I can throw albums that we want to hear and kind of let the other one check out. So thank you once again, Grant, for coming on. Please back his book. You will not regret it. And until then, I will see you Saturday for Saturday Morning Comic Talk. We'll be back live this week for our first week in a while because I've been out on a cruise ship. So no more cruising, back to life, back to reality, and then see you on Saturday.